What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Alpha Skies. Today we're going to quickly go over an article here that has been posted and is being discussed quite a bit on Twitter, and it is called "The State of Destiny 2's Festival of the Lost is Unacceptable." But before we get into that, I'd first like to go ahead and point out that roughly only 2% of my viewers are actually subscribed. So if you guys are checking these videos out and you're enjoying them and you're already here, why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as it really helps my channel out a lot. This was an article I had actually seen on Twitter. It was tweeted out and written by Paul Tassi, and it has actually received quite a bit of feedback, both positive and negative, so let's go ahead and jump into it and figure out what the deal is. On Tuesday, Destiny 2 launched Festival of the Lost, its Halloween event, and it did not go very well. The event kicked off with a quest-breaking bug that prevented all progress in the main pathway of the event, which kept all challenges locked and made farming the event pointless all day. But while Bungie leapt onto the bug and got it cleared by the end of the night, that's only one aspect of why I am finding Festival of the Lost hugely disappointing and launching in what I would consider to be an unacceptable state. I'll be 100% real with you though, I didn't play on Tuesday because I had work and different stuff going on and was exhausted and just didn't have the energy to really hop on and start the event. But if it was actually being broken and not able to even progress on the first day, then that's definitely not a good sign. There is a narrative among the Destiny community that these seasonal events are mainly focused on selling cosmetics to players rather than creating a fun experience, and to me, that is exactly what we are seeing with the Festival of Lost this year. Bungie is content to copy and paste the event to such a degree that even glaring issues from last year have not been fixed, while the main work that's been up is in the cosmetic side with new armor, ghost ships, and sparrows to buy. The biggest change is the addition of a $10 quote-unquote event pass, which features some cosmetics, and not the best ones, as a new way to engage with the event. We'll go a little more in depth with that after we go ahead and cover his main points. Here are the problems with this relaunch of Festival of the Lost that have me pretty exasperated at this point. The wait timer. Bungie has left in a truly bizarre bug where if you kill 10 headless ones in a lost sector, which is exceptionally easy, you will not spawn the boss. Rather, the arena will go quiet, enemies will stop spawning, and you will simply have to sit and wait 60 to 90 seconds for the boss to appear. This has been an obvious, annoying issue last year, and while Bungie said they wouldn't have time to fix it by the end of the event, they have not fixed it in the entire last year, and it really does not help that didn't anybody actually play this narrative that players have been expressing when encountering these extremely obvious bugs in the game. And I'll be 100% honest with you guys, this is an issue that should not be an issue. It is honestly a problem. This game is about farming and about doing it in the most optimal way possible, and the fact that you are strictly being time gated every time you go to clear and that each runs of these will guaranteed be at least 5 minutes, it kind of sucks for the players that are really trying to farm these god rolls out. And he even talks about getting to kill 10 headless ones, but it's actually funny, the gameplay you guys are watching in the background right now, it actually cuts off at 9. I didn't even make it to 10 and everything just stopped spawning, so that seems like another bug that we're having as well. Missing Origins traits. Another bizarre bug happening is that the loot pool for the Festival of the Lost also appears to include old copies of Festival weapons. Jurassic Green and Braytech Werewolf can drop with their old perk pools and no new origin trait, and I'm not sure Horror Story has a new version at all. So if you're farming for a specific role before the event ends, this just makes that event even more difficult. Again, yeah, with the fact that we're supposed to farm these events for these roles that we want and whatnot, it isn't really okay for us to not only have all these bugs and stuff like that we are still encountering, but the fact that there are so many issues like this right here, like not even being able to apparently farm these weapons in the new loot pool and perk pool that we're given for them, is very, very problematic, especially in a game like Destiny 2 where farming and stuff like that is so RNG reliant. Page farming. Literally nothing got changed about how you acquire pages, which means the most effective way to do it is to grind out public events on repeat, or if you want more diversity, playlist activities. The exact same problem as last year remains, where you will spend probably triple the time in old activities grinding out pages to convert with a single run of the haunted lost sectors. This is not how the old haunted forest used to work, and at least not to this degree. Again, this should have just been adjusted from last year, and yet it remains to be exactly the same. And if there are any major points that are in this article that I have to agree with, this is one that I definitely have to agree with the most. I believe we had the Solstice event last season. That one was actually pretty fun because it was an event that you could just kind of go in and grind out the activity and do it over and over again and whatnot, because you got that currency up and it could kind of hit that cap, and it would eat only so much each time you ran, but you would still basically get a full set of loot going through it. You don't get to do that in the Haunted Lost sectors, unfortunately. Like he said, you're basically going to spend vast majority of your time getting these pages up and whatnot just to go in and do one run of Haunted Lost sectors, and you're pretty much right back out there just grinding the old recycled stuff over again because they just didn't think that far ahead or whatever it may be. I don't know. Recycled sectors. I was hoping for a new slate of Haunted Lost sectors this year, and yet all that happened was one single new one from the EDZ. This includes like 5 new total lines from Ido and a complete one from the Drifter, but the narrative part of this that began last year has been lost, as Glint is still showing up saying all of the same stuff, and it has just been hacked together with some of Ido's stuff for this year. It's definitely boring that we were given the exact same Lost sectors and only actually given a new one, but I'll be 100% honest with you. I honestly, I don't really care all that much about it because, again, it is a time-limited event. So as long as I actually get to play the event, that's the enjoyable part. And that's kind of why I agreed with the previous point of the page farming and whatnot. That kind of sucks because you're spending vast majority of your time not even actually getting to enjoy the new seasonal content. And as far as the voice lines go, I'm really not surprised because, again, if they're just going to recycle a lot of the content from last year, I didn't expect them to really just go out of their way to really get a whole lot of new voice lines and whatnot. But that's just something I honestly could not care any less about. So let's just move on to the next point. Cosmetics. This is the good part of the event. Is yes, the armor and ships and sparrows and emotes and such are all top-notch, but the event pass idea continues to suck like it did with the last season's event, and it just seems like 10 minutes of work that have been put into crafting cosmetics, then fixing and updating the event from last year. I don't think that's acceptable, given that Bungie wants these holiday events to be a staple of every season going forward. So major bugs aside, there are still loads of issues with 2022's Festival of the Lost, and I am extremely disappointed with how this event has rolled out this year. And this is again another point that I can actually somewhat agree with him on, because he is right. If Bungie is wanting to make these holiday events a staple for every season going forward, then yeah, it is kind of unacceptable for them to go out of their way and go make a $10 pass that players can buy whenever they're going to simply leave a lot of the old bugs in these sectors that were causing lots of issues and complaints for literally over a year now. It's just really not okay to be pushing out something and trying to get people to pay out money whenever you put literally zero effort into the event that you were giving people in the first place. So a little bit of a callback to what we kind of talked about at the beginning of the actual article itself, talking about how the narrative of these Destiny communities that the seasonal events are obviously mainly focused on selling cosmetics instead of actually creating a fun experience. I have to completely agree with him that is what we are seeing this year with Festival of the Lost, because they did absolutely just copy and paste everything down to the bone with this event, and then went and made an event pass for $10 and said, we're having a really cool Festival of the Lost. You guys come and chip in and come, spend $10 for a couple of cosmetics that no one really cares about. But I think it's pretty obvious to most people that this event is an absolute flop with the way that Bungie has handled it and has handled a lot of their stuff recently. And it sucks even more because I was so excited, especially after seeing the Lightfall reveal for Destiny's Showcase 2022 livestream, talking about how we were well past the content drought era and we were moving forward and we were going to have all this amazing content to do. This season alone has felt like one of the worst seasons we have ever played. So in one of my previous videos, I actually talk about the Divinity nerf causing a lot of issues and a lot of people going and attacking all these streamers that thought this weapon needed a nerf. And I talked about how in reality, I don't think most people were actually mad at these streamers and whatnot. I think that most people are mad because, again, it doesn't feel like Bungie is actually listening to its overall community as a whole right now. It seems like they are only doing the absolute bare minimum of what they have to, and that just happened to be one of the things that a lot of streamers were talking about. And I 100% actually think that applies right here, because it's definitely not just the fact that the Festival of the Lost is nothing but a copy-paste flop. It's the fact that not only is it a copy-paste, but it's a broken copy-paste. And on top of that, you have all of these issues that were supposed to be fixed, like the duality dungeon and whatnot, which are also, if you're unaware, still actually currently broken, even though they claim they had fixed it. I am going to be 100% real. There are a lot of people that are being extremely goofy right now, being critical, talking about how, well, if you don't like it, then just don't play the game. If you have spent as much money on a video game as you have, as a lot of these people that are on D2 right now have, then you would kind of feel somewhat obligated to try to get at least your money out of it. Because I think we can all agree there's nothing more disappointing than a company or some sort coming and making promises to individuals about what they're going to do for these games and what they're going to do in terms of listening to their community, and then they simply just don't deliver, but they want you to give them more money in exchange for that. So is the Festival of the Lost being the current way that it is really that big of a deal? Absolutely not. I think it's just a little cherry on top of the crap cake that Bungie has really been just handing to us as players on a silver platter. But those are just my thoughts, and I would love to know how you guys actually feel about this situation, so feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And once again, my name is Alpha Skies, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
And as we've evolved our seasons over the years, we've learned a lot. And I think we've been able to deliver some amazing character moments and events for the community.
We're long past the era of content droughts, content droughts, content droughts, content droughts.